What's up, guys? Welcome back to Country Bunkers Trains. Hope you're doing well. You know, it's not often we check out rolling stock here on the channel, but I figured we're kind of on a roll, as in one of our last videos we checked out the brand new Lionel Pacemaker Freight Set. I figured we'd continue on and check out another new product I felt like some of you might enjoy or might be interested in. Today I thought we'd take a quick peek at a brand new type of product here to the layout. This, of course, as you can see, is a Lionel LionScale piece of rolling stock, specifically a Manhattan PS2 covered hopper. This car was an exclusive run for Trainworlds and not available in a catalog. This piece happens to be another one of the wonderful gifts the missus gifted me for this last Christmas. A pretty neat car. The LionScale line made its debut from Lionel several years back. I want to say back in 2017, however, don't quote me on that, as I'm not particularly sure. These cars are advertised as being affordable scale-sized cars for operators and collectors. These LionScale cars are assembled and painted here in the USA, which I know is a really big deal for quite a few folks. Trainworld, in fact, did a video on the painting and assembly of these at the factory in North Carolina. They did a really good video showing the process of these cars being painted, having the graphics printed on them, as well as some assembly. I'll try and post the link to that video in the description below. Personally, I would have to say these cars are really marketed and geared for people who are already in the hobby. People who are currently running possibly traditional or semi-scale engines and equipment at the moment. However, they might be looking to dip their feet into the pool of running scale-sized engines and equipment on their layouts. Along with them, these cars are really good for people who are brand new to the hobby, or maybe just entering the hobby, someone who's only interested in running scale equipment, as well as the people who strictly only run scale equipment, who have been in the hobby for quite a while, however not looking to dig quite as deep into their wallets for some of the newer scale-sized pieces of equipment. From the little bit of looking into these cars that I did, these seem to go for around $15 to $30 cheaper than their newer scale counterparts. What makes that possible is these cars are constructed out of old tooling. When this LionScale line was originally introduced, and I believe still to this day, these cars are constructed out of old Weaver tooling. Now, when this Weaver tooling originally hit the market, these cars, many years ago, these cars were possibly some of the nicest, highest-end cars that you could get at the time. Now, I don't want to say these cars have run their course or are dated or anything like that, because obviously they're still there, very relevant, very attractive cars, and they're here doing their job. However, since then, and in recent years, newer toolings come out, and these cars have a little bit more scale fidelity to the real cars. You got more scale-sized grab irons and ladders, and a little bit more separately applied details, which we'll take a look at here in a moment. Now, while being great-looking cars, but missing out on some of the smaller, finer details found on the newer cars, as Lionel has stated many times, these cars are really meant for the operator. These cars are meant to see runtime, and a lot of it. While these cars are roaming around your layout, or on your carpet central, whizzing by you, you're not really going to notice the lack of little quarter-inch long chains, or see-through metal-graded walkways and stuff like that. If you're a collector and you're looking to purchase this car for display, perch it up on your shelf, I would suggest sticking with the newer tooling cars that'll offer all of those great features. Because like I say, when these cars are roaming around the layout, you're not really going to notice it. But anyways, guys, what do you say we check this particular car out real quick? First initial thoughts out of the box? I gotta be honest with you guys. When I was first handling and viewing this car as I was pulling it out of the packaging, I thought to myself, wow, what a cheap paint job. If you guys have ever done any work with aerosol spray paints, I think you'll understand what I'm saying. When you go to the home supply store or the hardware store and you go to the spray paint section, in the middle and upper shelves you always have your normal culprits, Rust-Oleum, Krylon, stuff like that. However, almost always on the very bottom shelf is a super cheap, budget-friendly paint, or spray paint. As I say, these cans are almost always no-name cans, or they're the store that you're shopping at's home brand, and these paints always come in only two colors, either flat black or flat white. Now when you get these cans home and you start using them, you'll notice that the paint, especially with the blacks, it's never really a true black. The pigment isn't quite black. It's almost always like a really dark charcoal or a really dark gray color, not quite black. And you also notice when these paints dry, they never dry to like a smooth glossy finish like the Rust-Oleums and the Krylons. These always leave kind of a rough textured finish on the item that you've painted. And that's exactly what I feel like this car is painted with to an extent. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it on the microphone, but this car has a really rough texture to it. See if you can hear my finger rubbing against the car. Can you hear that textured feeling? So like I say, that's exactly what this car made me think of. Now I will say the paint is a bit better than the 99-cent cans that I'm talking about. The pigment that they use for this black is a lot better than that charcoal or gray color that you find in those cans. So of course that's a plus. But it really made me think of that when first pulling this car out of the box. Now as I say, that was my first initial thought of this car. However, I tell you, once I got it on the track and got it roaming around, I really grew to love the paint job on this car. The paint on this car is what really sells this car for me. And I say that because when you look at the real cars in the real world, the paint on those cars are almost always never perfect. They've been on the rails for years. The paint's always weather checked and sun beaten and dried up. And this car mimics that tone perfectly. It puts off a great appearance, or a mimicking appearance of that. So as I say, the paint really sold me on this car, and that's probably my favorite part of it. But it was hard at first getting over it, because when you compare this to another high-end or scale new piece of equipment, it's kind of off-putting at first, like, wow, this is cheap paint compared to this other car. But yeah, like I say, it grows on you quite a bit, or at least it did for me. I will say Lionel did an excellent job with the printed decals or lettering on this car. Everything is crystal clear and legible, and it looks really, really good. Like I say, I really like this car. It looks great. Take a quick look at it. One thing I will say, another thing I noticed straight out of the box, one of the only separately applied details did come off. I don't know if you can see the hole here behind the ladder. You can see the part here in the box. I got to get my tweezers out and glue it back in place. But I mean, can you really call it a Lionel product if it didn't show up with a broken or loose piece in the box? Sorry, I had to. As I was hinting at earlier, we're in luck. I just so happen to have this exact same car in Lionel's newer tooling. Figured we could take a look at them side by side and you could see some of the differences. What you're getting for your money, so to say. The things that really stand out, of course, are up top. This car, as you can see, this is all molded together as one piece, whereas obviously this car has a lot more separately applied details. The thing that really stands out up top is the see-through metal grate walkways, which you can see here on the newer tooling car, whereas again over here it's all molded together. The car obviously still has the walkways, but not near as detailed. Secondly, of course, little extensions or expansions off the side of the walkways. You see on this car you got little metal supports and it's still see-through. Looks a lot better than this car, which again is just all molded together. Doesn't look bad, but it's definitely noticeable. You'll notice the ladders and steps on this car, the LionScale car, again all molded in together, whereas on this car separately applied, and a lot more fidelity to scale. It looks a lot more scale. Hopefully that makes sense to you. The ladders aren't quite as bulky, and they just look more proper on the car. But again, both of them are great looking cars. Obviously, if purchasing to display, as I said earlier, the newer tooled car is the way to go. These do share the same trucks and couplers, and luckily, we are in luck. These are working couplers. These aren't the horrible couplers that are found on the milk cars or some of the newer era cars. These couplers actually work for the most part. I will say, I did notice when I first got these cars together, I was running these at the front of a very long train, or a long train for me, and these cars were doing fine. But I noticed the last couple days, I guess I don't want to say the couplers are weak, but these thumbtack couplers that they both have, they're very super sensitive. you barely touch them and they open. So these cars were uncoupling from the train quite a lot. So I decided I couldn't run them at the front of the train anymore. I had to move them to the back, and that seemed to cure the issue. But something that I noticed. Now, as I say, I do really like this car. I've grown to love the paint job on the car body itself, and this car just looks spectacular roaming around the layout. I really like it behind my Norfolk Southern Dash 8. It just looks perfect behind that engine. But having said that, I do have a pretty decent gripe with this car. Something that really kind of rubbed me wrong personally and was just very off-putting. And it's back on the subject of paint. I don't know how well the camera's going to pick up what I'm trying to show you. It is kind of hard to get it here on the camera. But again, as I stated, this newer tooled car and this LionScale car are sharing the same trucks. Again, I don't know if you can see it, but the paint job on the LionScale trucks is just absolutely horrific. You can see, I know you can see because I'm looking at it, how much brighter, clearer, and deeper the paint is on the truck of the newer tooled car compared to the LionScale car. But here in person, I mean, you can basically just see bare metal. It's got like a light coat of paint on it. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I have a pretty good idea of what did happen. If I had to take a guess, when these trucks were going down the assembly line being built and painted, I'm sure these trucks were painted in a big batch of trucks, and then they were left to dry, if they were even left to dry after looking at them. But after they were done being painted, at least, we'll leave it at that. All the trucks were then taken off the painting racks or drying racks or whatever, and then tossed into a box or a bin altogether, and then were moved on to their next stage of production. Now, all these metal trucks and being freshly painted, sitting together in a box, moving around, what do you think that's going to do? That's going to beat the hell out of the paint. And that's exactly what it looks like happened on these trucks. Like I say, you can just about see bare metal. There's so many nicks in the truck. It looks horrible. Now, I understand, with these newer cars, with all their separately applied details, so on and so forth, stuff happens in shipping. With all these details, the cars become more and more fragile and easier to break. Again, case in point, that piece that's in the box. I get that. In shipment, stuff's going to break off. It's a possibility it's going to happen. And it always does happen for me, especially with Lionel. I'm sorry to say, but it does. The stuff always shows up with some issue of some sort. But for something so blatant and common as paint on trucks, I'm sorry, that's not cool. It isn't. I understand having to glue this little piece back on the car because, it fell off. That's not a big deal to me. But to have this kind of paint job on these trucks, no, that's not cool. I shouldn't have to be touching up paint on trucks right out of the box. That's just not acceptable to me. Like I say, it really rubbed me wrong. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Again. Now, of course, that's just obviously my guess of what possibly happened with these trucks. I obviously do not know exactly what happened. I mean, hell, with these cars sharing the exact same trucks, maybe the trucks on this LionScale car were rejects from one of the newer tooling cars, and rather than tossing them out or losing money, they were repurposed on the LionScale car to enable them to sell it at a cheaper price. But again, this is just not cool. If I had pre-ordered this car, and I was highly eager and anticipating it showing up, and it showed up with the trucks that are on it, yeah, I'd be quite pissed. What the hell is this? That's just me rambling and my own personal thoughts, but like I say, just not cool. I do want to add, I really don't like being negative here on the channel. I always try to stay positive with everything, but damn, Lionel, you make it hard a lot of the time. I've had a lot of issues with just about everything that's come in lately. And again, I understand shipments, stuff getting, tossed around, possibility of things breaking. But it's getting to the point where I gotta mess or tinker with everything. Literally every car that showed up, and you guys have seen it in the last couple videos, I've had to tinker with and fix. Everything except for one car. And it's not something new, that's the other sad part. You guys notice that my trains and layout are predominantly MTH. And this is the exact reason why. I've always had so much better luck with MTH products. But I really do love Lionel's stuff. I mean, it looks great. It's very innovative. I enjoy the hell out of it, but damn, I get tired of working on it and trying to get it fixed. But anyways, guys, I'm done ranting, I promise. I really don't like being negative here on the channel. I always try to stay positive with everything. I guess this one just brought it out of me. And honestly, it wasn't this one in particular. It's kind of a culmination of all of them together lately. But like I say, we're done. But with all that said, would I recommend this car? Would I buy another LionScale car? Honestly, I would leave that up to you guys. Leave it up to your discretion. Everybody would have their own opinion and thoughts on it. Some people might love it. Some people might hate it. Me personally, would I buy another LionScale car? I can't say I would go running to one. If they made a car that I had to have, absolutely more than likely, yes, I would. But I would much prefer to go view it in person before purchasing it. Of course, I don't have any other LionScale cars here on the layout. I don't know if maybe I just got a dud with these trucks or if this is a normal thing or whatnot. I'd much prefer it to see it in person, but that's getting harder and harder to do every day. Everything being pushed towards built-to-order products, purchasing online as hobby shops and train stores dry up and close. It's getting really hard to do that. So I don't know if I would be rushing to get another one of these, but again, who knows? If I saw one in person and was able to inspect it, if the trucks looked the way that this one does, but it was a car I had to have, yeah, I'd try and haggle with the shop owner, get a few bucks knocked off. But who knows? I'll leave it to you guys. What do you say we get this car loaded up in a train and take her for a few laps? As I say, this really is a beautiful car roaming the layout. I like it quite a bit aside from the trucks. I'm going to leave you guys with a few shots of this car and the trains running around. I hope you enjoyed this little video. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Until next time, guys, as always, my name is Zach, and this is Country Bunkers Trains. Y'all take care. I'll see you the next go-round.